Hi there. Welcome to Podclash, episode number 4. Who thought we'd get this far? Haha.
I didn't. I
did
thought we
not.
would bail after 2.
We did this
especially after the first one.
We did this last time when we started talking all the time, and then we forgot to interview and introduce our guest.
Yes.
So you can do the introductions.
So we've got our guest here. It's Owain Doull, Team Sky Rider, and soon to be Team Ineos. Welcome.
Also Olympic champion.
Yeah, mess those parts out, Phil.
Speaks Welsh.
I wasn't finished.
First fluent Welsh speaker to win an Olympic gold medal.
Say welcome to Podcrash in Welsh.
Could I say podcast?
Oh, that's a first.
Funnily enough, I don't know the translation for podcrash into Welsh, so we'll just do.
Do you know
Could
what
I
crash is in pod?
Is what?
Pod? We keep the pod, but what's crash in Welsh?
Oof. I don't know, to be honest.
Fluent, is it?
Well, if you ask my family, they're probably like, worst Welsh speaker in the family, but
Okay.
I am fluent.
No, fair enough. There's a few other Welsh guys in the team. Is there ever any inside jokes?
No, because G and Luke don't speak Welsh fluently, actually.
Oh.
Just me in terms of World Tour stuff, it's just me and Scott Davis.
No, that is a Welsh man.
He is the most Welsh man ever from Carmarthen. Do you want Scott? My boy's more lovely.
Fair play.
He's a lovely boy.
But
Yeah.
We're going to start with the news. Have you prepared your news this week, Phil? Or are you just going to say I've done nothing?
I have some news, but you've got many more news than me.
Many
a lot has
more
happened
news
in
than
your
Many
life.
more.
A lot has happened in his life.
Okay, so after sending 6 different helmets back to Wiggle over the course of a couple of months, I finally found a helmet that fitted.
Impossible.
I know, yeah. I had to get a special order into Evans, and I got a lovely extra large gyro something.
I still remember when we were, this is a bit of a side note and off the news, but I still remember when we were all first like academy going on to podium, whatever, and everyone had the same helmet, like standard squad helmets, except Callum, who had this massive silver Giro helmet.
It was the size of like a salad bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was huge. The
Same
only other
size.
person who come close was Ali Slater. He had a massive helmet as well.
No, but it wasn't as big as this.
Oh, nowhere near the. It was custom made, the Giro, wasn't it?
Well, no.
Could you? And also, that's another thing. If you go back and look at Olympic footage, you'll notice that every single person in the team has the same helmet on,
That's
except
true,
Callum, because they couldn't get an Olympics helmet to fit his head. Hey mate, imagine how fast you'd gone if you'd had the Olympic one on.
Well, the annoying thing was that they measured it before, and they came back a couple of times because they were like, it can't be that big.
And
That's
it
what she
actually
said.
was, yeah.
But yeah, it was, and it was actually like a good 5 centimeters bigger than anyone else's.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever's making them guess like the measurements in, they go, this must be a mistake.
Must be a mistake. That's what
We'll
they said.
just give him an extra large. It'll fit, won't it? Get you head in that, son.
So yeah, basically I believe the commentary at the time were like, "Oh, Callum Skinner, he's got a special helmet on. That must be BC at all. They leave no stone unturned. That must be for some very special reasons." I was like, "Yeah, you don't know how special."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. I will now throw away my old gyro Atmos, which they don't make anymore, discontinued, and I'm now in a lovely new other gyro. So that's good. That's
Great,
the news.
yeah.
It's big news for me. I know you're going to think.
What
it
else
isn't.
is news with you?
Well, else is news for me. I still have my bike. It's not back at
Still have
BC
your
yet.
bike, yeah.
Still have it. This really brings us to the main point of the pod crash, which is like a consumer show. It's like when you've been wronged, get us on the case.
Product reviews as well.
Yeah, exactly. Phil, you know a lot about bikes.
I know many things about bikes.
They go forwards. They have 2 wheels.
I've recently moved house.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's news to do it.
Yep, I didn't know that.
Did you know?
Have you already installed, mate? Well, I remember last time I went to your house, I was a big fan of your installed Sonos system.
Yeah.
It's for sale at the moment, if you want to buy it.
Well, the Sonos system or the house?
The Sonos system.
The Sonos system.
Yeah, not space in the new place.
No, there's not enough space. No.
Oh, downsizing, bad times.
Should I break the news to it?
No,
Or
not on the pod. Not
Okay,
on the podcast.
okay.
Not on the podcast. Okay, so and there was also the BMX was on at Manchester. I went and watched every single minute.
You went to watch it on Sunday?
Well, yeah,
When
because
Kai won.
Yeah, because it's a good thing. Like he was our first guest ever in the podcast, so I thought I'd go
Kai.
down and support. No,
Kai
no,
White.
Kyle.
Yeah, it's like Callum's coming up to support me at Tour de Yorkshire, isn't
but
he? You know, because
yes.
I'm 4th guest.
Yes, I'll be
Kai
there.
won last night.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kyle was racing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
I
this
know.
is hard for you to understand.
You know the difference between Kai and Kyle.
Yeah, I thought you meant that Kyle won. I'm sorry. Just carry on.
We'll talk about the news. We had a lovely night at Chris's once we finished that last pod crash.
We did, yeah.
You had a few glasses of wine.
Just a few, yeah.
I have to say, Chris Oy is the hostess with the mostess. I've
He
only
is,
been round
he
his
is.
once after the Olympics for that barbecue. but boy, did we get spoiled.
I believe the last time you were there, Cian and Maddie ate a cake out of your hand.
Yeah,
Like a
I think
horse.
so. Yeah. That
He
was
did, yeah.
Great times. Great
Got
times.
video evidence of it.
That's not going to see the light of day, is it?
No, it's not.
And also, I'm going to take back. I'm going to, take on board some of the comments from last time, and I'm going to interrupt less and let Phil take the lead for this interview we got coming up.
Dead podcast coming out right now. Stop listening now.
I think the issue was that you were interrupting Chris while he was speaking.
So, Chris.
Well, the
So
thing
Chris-
is, like Chris has done a lot of interviews in his time, okay, and he's got soundbite after soundbite ready to go. But if you let them go, then they'll just go off. And I was like, this is different. This is Podcrash. This is not about competent interviewing. This is about something different.
Literally a pod crash, isn't it?
It is.
Just absolute
Yeah.
chaos.
It is. This is not the show you tune into if you want to hear how it felt for Chris to win his gold medal in Beijing, his gold medal in London, his gold medal in whatever. It's about the real stories,
That's
real
true,
talk,
yeah.
real
Yeah.
talk with Philip Hines and Callum Skinner.
Let's start our real talk then.
Well, no, you've got the news. What's your news?
What's my news? I went home to Germany this weekend to
You did go home to Germany.
visit
Yeah.
my family.
How did you find that?
Yeah, it was good. Very different in Germany.
This is the interesting thing.
I'm used to the British people now.
Have any nice schnitzel or?
I didn't actually have a schnitzel.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
Schnitzel with Zigeunersoße.
No, Jägersoße.
No Zigeunersoße this time.
Mit Kroketten.
He was there, mate. Trust him.
Mit Kroketten. Yeah, that's pretty much my news.
So tell us why you find. Is it the German culture? You're now sitting. So say when you first moved over to moved over to the UK, and I was a young 17-year-old, and I was presented with this specimen of a man, just fresh over from Germany, expecting so many things like cleanliness and efficiency, and was presented with the exact opposite. Do you now see it from a British side when you go over to Germany?
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when you at a training camp and you're at a buffet and some old German people just push in front of you and they just steal the food pretty much off your plate.
No,
you know
no.
about it.
Yeah, no, I was at
Yeah.
a buffet once in Germany, a buffet. I was at a buffet once in Germany, and this old German woman literally took the tongs out of my hand as I was serving myself some like schnitzel or something.
Yeah, but
They-
that's what I like see now, like how
Rude.
rude, but
It's not rude.
you
It's
don't.
different
Yeah,
cultures.
you just don't really realize it when you're German.
Yeah, now you can see it from the other side.
Yeah, I
You're going
see
to
it
start
on
a
the
mass
other side.
education program.
I think I have to. Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're going to start. Unless you've got any more news.
No, I haven't got any more news.
Oh,
You got any news?
Have you got any news from the
Cycling
cycling,
news?
world? Our
No.
cycling knowledge isn't the best. Give us a little recap of what's happened in cycling this week.
This week,
Teo's done some stuff.
Yeah, so Teo's been going really well. He won 2 stages at the Tour of the Alps, or used to be known as Trentino, which is like your traditional race before the Giro. So really great to see him doing really well. Pavel, our Russian, French, Italian rider, a bit of a mutt, won the overall and a stage as well. What else has happened? Liège, that happened. Vogelsang, I'd say popular winner, well deserved.
Well deserved.
He was third at Amstel, second at Flesh, won Liège.
Was that the guy that? Okay, here's a question. I was watching cycling the other day, as you do.
What
As
race did you watch?
I can't remember. It was a classic, and this Rafa guy sprints, and then this guy in, I guess, Dutch National Championships kit, he gets really upset. What's the news behind that?
Really upset.
Or was he angry? I don't know. He smashed his bars, and he was like, ah. And everyone's talking about it as if it's a big story. Maybe I missed something.
I think maybe you're making a big story into something no one knows about.
Yeah, I don't.
And everyone
know.
said, what a dramatic last kilometre. So much drama.
Oh, what, Amstel Gold?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, it was a hell of a race, so I'll educate you on what happened.
Please.
There was a few groups ahead. Van der Poel, who everyone's billing as the favourite, Dutch national champ, first time he's ridden the race. Bit of a prodigy, wonder kid, bit like Phil actually, very similar. And and he was, I don't know, 8th on the road, something like that, decent gap behind. And out of nowhere, he just pulled all the groups back. There must have been 5-6 guys sat on the wheel, not getting him a turn. He pulled everyone back. It came back together.
Slipstreaming motorbikes.
Maybe 500 metres to go. And you see him in the finish, and he's just laying off. He's just like almost like a track sprinter. He's waiting. And then he hits, some of the best bike riders in the world, Alaphilippe, Vogelsang, Kwiato. And he won the race, and it was the most, if you were with a K to go, you were saying, bet however much money, no one would put any money on Van der Poel winning. anyway, so he won the race, and he was overjoyed. And yeah, I think Simon Clark from EF was second, and he was pretty buzzing about that. I don't think there was any.
Oh no, that
no-
makes a lot of sense. Because I thought it was the EF guy that won, and then he looked like, if you take it that way, it looks like he's upset.
No. I think
He's
he
actually
was
just happy.
No, the guy from EF I think was buzzing, and then I think Van der Poel's celebration was kind of like disbelief kind of thing. So it might have looked like anger, but I think it was just disbelief that he actually pulled
yeah,
it
that
off.
was the only bit I saw. It looked like he was like, I made such a big mistake, but it wasn't.
Maybe you
No,
should
he
watch the
just
race
he just
next time.
dominated
I
everyone.
should probably watch the race next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the cycling news done. Thank you. That's the first time
Thank
we've
you,
had some
yeah.
cycling news on the podcast. Last
Yeah.
time we got confused between Paris-Roubaix and
Flanders.
Flanders.
Paris
yeah.
come
Yeah.
bear.
You did Paris-Roubaix in Flanders, didn't you?
I did.
How did that go for
Which
you?
is why we watched.
Yeah, they were okay. I'd say a mix for me. Obviously, being such cycling aficionado as the pair of you, obviously I had a very good, strong opening weekend at Kuurne, Brussels, Kuurne and
You
Omloop
did,
News
yeah. You
Blad.
came
Yes.
second.
Congratulations
Yeah.
for that.
So going into that kind of key block of races, I was kind of expecting a bit more of myself. I wanted to be a bit thicker into the race, but I had a couple of crashes in the lead up. And then also my role kind of changes as the bigger riders in Sky come in. So obviously Luke comes in, Gianni comes in, and also Dylan was coming back from a hand injury. So from before, when I was second in Kuurne, obviously I had a bit more freedom and got to race for myself a bit more. And then obviously when the bigger guys who are more proven in those races come back in, you kind of knock down the pecking order a bit and you do more of the kind of donkey work, as it were. So I was happy with my performances, but back in my mind also, after doing what I'd done in the opening weekend, I wanted to be deeper into the race and more forefront in the results. But overall it was good. I think also when you do these classics year after year, you're always learning, you're always improving, and every time you're just learning the course more and gaining more experience, so you
What
can't
was it?
sniff at it.
What was it lacking on, do you think? Was it like mechanicals or
No,
physical?
I didn't have many issues. I think that just the toll of racing and crashing had kind of caught up with me a bit. And yeah, in terms of crashes, punctures, all that, for the main classics block, I was pretty lucky. I had one puncture in Roubaix, but it's not like that stopped me from being in the front group when it mattered. Yeah, just a combination of things. But, if someone had said to me at the start of the year, you'll come second in Kuurne and you'll do a really, really strong ride in Newsblad, and then it will kind of pit it down after that, would have taken it,
Yeah.
for sure.
How does the psychology change between working for someone else and working for yourself, especially after you've got a pretty good result like second? In Kuurne, Kuurne,
Brussels Kuurne. Yeah, it is a switch, because obviously you go from, when you get that opportunity, you kind of know you have to make the most of it, and you need to be as economical as possible to make sure you've got as much possible left at the end of the race. Whereas when you're working for other guys, it might be a crucial moment, and the biggest thing is saving their energy rather than your own. And if that means you then get dropped earlier than you would like to be dropped, that's part of the parcel. That's how successful teams work. You got to be willing to sacrifice, and yeah, for sure. Like in the future, I'd like to go into those races as the leader and have those opportunities, have those people working for me. But also you have to understand this progression. You can't just demand on the team bus, say, right, everyone's working for me today, and you're like, nah, mate, it don't work like that. And obviously what I did in opening weekend and will have helped that towards next year. And I guess your status in the team might change a bit, but yeah, I think it wasn't like I was physically any stronger than any of those other guys during that main classics block anyway. So it's not like I'm sat here saying, he was way stronger than those guys. I should have been more protected. That was the honest pecking order of the race. And you just accept that, and you got to support the top guys as best as you can.
I guess the classic example is when Froome attacked Wigo. Like, not attacked, but like load off basically. And I always think that's a bit of it seems like a bit of a juggling act within pro cycling. It's like, obviously there's a pecking order, but then at some point it seems like some guys gamble and they kind of go against the orders and then we'll just go for it. But then in order for you to like come off well off the back of that, you need to do well, basically. Like if you pull that kind of maneuver and it all goes tits up, then you're fucked, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And there are guys in the peloton who will pull shit like that and then get nothing out of it. But they're quickly rooted out,
Yeah.
But I think something Sky do really, really well is like man management and getting the best out of the riders they have. There's genuinely no egos and everyone will support each other. And yeah, obviously you'll have some cases which will come to light a bit more and a bit more obvious, like what happened with Rumi and Wigo. But still, they still end up first and second in the Tour de France, so
Yeah.
it was handled well.
So, yeah, obviously the major news in sport, in the whole of sport actually, is that the involvement of Sky in cycling is coming to an end. And whether, like for you, that's been a major part of your career. It's probably been the entirety of your career, from the junior development team, British Cycling, Team Wiggins, Team Sky. How big a deal is that for them to be moving on? It seems like they've been kind of instrumental in the whole kind of Owain Doull story almost.
Yeah, for me it's been strange because I think in some form or another I've had a Sky logo on my jersey since I was 16. I think they, even on talent team, I think they even had, they were starting their involvement around then. So, like you said, then through ODP, through Academy, then through Wiggins, then through obviously Sky itself. And in some form or another, I've benefited from support from them, whether financially or whatever. So yeah, I owe a lot to Sky for where I am now. And obviously I think it's sad that they're leaving the sport, but I think they've done so much you can't, you could sit there and be like, oh, they're pulling out, oh, it's rubbish, But at the end of the day, they've just transformed the landscape of cycling in the UK. And I guess for you guys as well, I never did one, but I assume you probably did a Sky ride at some stage or something like that.
Done a few.
Done a few. You
Phil,
done a few as
some?
well?
I've done a few, yeah.
Stuck in with the kids.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, isn't it? You see the amount of young people who are getting on bikes, and that's down to Sky and that initiative. And, obviously it carries on now through, I think, the HSBC rides or whatever.
Rides, yeah.
But Sky to thank for what we have now.
It got a lot more people out on the bikes, didn't it?
Is that kind of the answer that you give to people who... Because it's quite a common opinion for everyone to say, I really actually wish Sky would pull out, and I wish they would end up with a sponsor that's going to give them a little bit less money. Would you say it's not just about the team and the success, it's about the whole package and the trickle-down thing?
Yeah, I think it's... If you look at it in terms of, Sky's involvement with Team Sky, obviously, there was a huge budget and, we're a very well-supported team. But I don't think there's any of the sponsors in cycling who have made an impact at grassroots across everything. There's no other cycling sponsors who are also sponsoring a national federation and initiatives like the Sky Ride. I think what they've done is, unbelievable.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And so we'll stay on the kind of old school Sky guys a little bit. So obviously, old Victor broke the hour record quite recently. And there was a little bit of controversy when Wiggle said G could break that tomorrow if he wanted. What did you make of all that?
Yeah, I think with always you got to take Brad with a pinch of salt. He's not meaning that as in like as an insult to what he's done. I think he's just saying stuff off the cuff. And I think if G trained for it and went for it, for sure, I think he could break it.
The media made a big deal.
Yeah,
of it
it's
as
just
well,
it's just sound the media grabbing a headline or taking a quote out of context. I think, there was a lot of stuff come back from that. But I genuinely agree with Brad. I think that if G was to go out there and train for it, he could for sure beat that record. And that's not taking anything from the record. It's 55k for an hour. I couldn't do that for sure. And it's like an unbelievable achievement. But I think I'd back G that if he was to do it, he could.
Did he do it in altitude?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Aquas Indias.
Is that something that gets quite annoying being part of Team Sky? Because obviously, I always feel that journalists come after cycling probably fairly and sometimes a little bit unfairly. Obviously, cycling's got a real big history with doping and Lance in the 90s, 2000s, and that brings a bit of attention. So if there's the slightest little thing that comes out of cycling, the journalists will jump on it. But I think in the same way, a little bit with British Cycling, but probably more so with Team Sky, it almost seems like a topic that they're quite happy to build up but also shoot down.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like anything in journalism though, isn't it? It's stuff which is going to grab attention. I don't follow them on Twitter, Daily Mail, but you always see Daily Mail stories retweeted and they're just so outrageous and just don't make sense and they're just a load of shit basically. But you still click on it because you're like, oh, I wonder what this is. You get drawn in.
Yeah, and then you end up on a page with Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's just how journalism works. You got to make a story about out of something, and obviously Sky is the biggest story in cycling, so it's easy to jump on that and take something out of context or write something which is false or just report on something which is generally happening, and it's going to get those clicks, isn't it?
And let's pop back to Wiggo quickly because I think the two of you probably have quite different relationships with Wiggo. So Phil, I'd say he's probably like the biggest father figure in your entire life.
What makes you say that?
Well, because I remember back in the day before the Olympics, I can't remember exactly what it was, but like if we'd rip you for something, you'd be like, no, not true, shut the fuck up, all this kind of stuff. You'd be like, shut up. And then Wiggo would jump in and say exactly the same thing. You'd be like, oh, Bradley, you're so spot on there.
True.
That's not true.
You're so
It is
spot
true.
on. I am totally like this.
Mate, he gave you your first professional contract as well.
He did, yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the
Yeah.
Team Wiggins days.
Team Wiggins Continental Rider was.
Fifi Hines, professional on the road.
And you bumped Keane Amadi out of the team because you had a
I
contract.
didn't know. To be fair, Keane would have never got around the race as well, so
well, you didn't
might
do
as
it.
well.
You didn't do a race, but
If anyone's
I
got
was going to do the Team Time Trial Words, but
no, that was never going to happen. Phil. I think that was.
people kept
That,
talking
I think
about
that
it.
was. I think that was a joke, and I think Phil Miller took it to heart.
no, I think they were serious.
No.
What do they want you to do, like the first 500 meters or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I mean, even that's a push, to be honest.
Yeah, fair play.
Oh, but I think so. If that's not on your Wikipedia, I think it should be that you were a pro continental rider for a little while.
I think it is actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
was,
put it on there himself.
I think I was
as soon
listed.
as he got on the team, he was like, right, I did a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I think I was listed as when you have
sure.
past teams and
I bet
Team
if you went
Wiggins.
on pro cycling stats, for sure, I
I'm
reckon.
probably on there. Yeah,
Are you on there?
possibly.
How's your contract search for next year going?
It's hard find. To be fair, on this topic, a lot of guys have been struggling in the last few years to find a contract. John Dibben didn't get a contract. Mark Christian didn't get a contract.
Not yet.
Andy Fenn.
I think didn't Andy Fenn retire?
Yeah, but I think lack of contract is.
An influencing factor here.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, cycling, especially cycling on the road, is a fucking hard sport, and it's so easy to for at one stage, like Dibbo, for example, to be riding for the biggest team in cycling, and then the next to be without a team, and it is difficult, and I think it's hit home a lot more this year, especially because a lot of guys I know and who are friends with and British riders are out of contract. I think it's probably the same year in, year out, but it just feels like a bigger thing this year because I know a lot of guys, and also I think, like say Mark Christian, for example, was at Aqua Blue, and he's obviously rejoined Wiggins now, which is great. They're going to support him. And for me, I look at that and I'm just like, how did Mark didn't get a contract? That's crazy. But that's because I'm a friend of his and I pay really close attention to any results he gets.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, a good one, it was Tour de Suisse last year. Mark was in, like, the winning group. The break went, I think, 10, 12 guys or whatever. Really hard stage. The breakaway split in half into two groups on this really long climb, and he was in the front group of 4 or 5 or whatever, looking really good. And then he had a mechanical, he punctured, and then he had to drop back to the second group and never came back. And that's not me saying, for sure, if that hadn't happened, Mark wouldn't have won the stage in Tour de Suisse. But he potentially could have come second or third, which in a big World Tour race like that, you got to have something about you to be able to do that. And I know that story because obviously I'm friends with him and you speak to him, but that doesn't show itself on pro cycling stats, for example. So I think when you're more invested also in your friends' results and stuff like that, and you think, oh no, he was really good there and he was good here. If you're looking at it on a piece of paper and you haven't ticked those boxes, it's very easy for whoever's hiring and firing just to go, no, we don't want him, or he's not good enough, or...
So did you have a similar moment when Phil was looking for a contract?
Yeah, I did as much as possible to help out. But unfortunately, no one wanted a 90-kilo German track sprinter on their team.
90, I'm 80, please.
89? 88?
80, 85 at the moment.
85.
Oh,
Is that-
on the creatine.
On
Is
the
that
creatine.
race weight or...
No, race weight is around 81, 80.
Ooh,
So
that's...
I've got. I'm in a gym block at the moment, so you always put on a bit of
Yeah,
weight.
you're
You know the-
bulking, not sulking.
The outrageous thing about your gym block, did you see my Instagram story yesterday when I put a video of him squatting? If you wait and I said 200 kilos in like a shocked face.
Yeah.
If you wait to the end, you can see it's obviously like 80 or 100 kilos. The number of people that messaged me saying he makes it look so easy.
Mate,
That's
Really?
unbelievable.
mate, I've done
Thumbs
this.
up,
I did
all
this
this kind of
before on
stuff.
Instagram. I put
Yeah.
a video of... we put a video of me leg pressing
Yeah.
when I was doing our gym block before the games. And we were doing double leg press. But we just put all the weights on one side and just filled it from one
Okay,
side.
yeah.
So it looks like 450 kilos or whatever, and you're just like pumping it out, when in reality it's like 225 or something like that,
It's all about the Instagram these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can fool a lot of people.
You can.
Don't
yeah.
trust what you read on the internet or see
No,
on the
no.
internet.
But then cycling, going back to the teams and the contracts and they're struggling, cycling's in a bit of a funny phase at the moment because I saw they launched a Zwift professional team quite recently. I don't know if you saw that.
I did, mate.
with the old Canyon SRAM. So obviously not Canyon SRAM, just Canyon. Is that what it is?
Yeah, just Canyon, I think.
I think
That's
just
their
Canyon,
headline
yeah.
sponsor, yeah.
But obviously that's kind of starting to divert probably some funds that could go into pro cycling away to virtual cycling.
I don't know.
Or do you think it goes to sport as a whole?
I don't know much about it, but I doubt they're pumping in loads of money into this Canyon racing team. I think, from what I gist of it, no one's getting paid on the team. You know, it's kind of expensive.
How do they call it professional then?
Well, how can you be a professional like virtual racer? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no such thing.
Oh, not yet, but there will be.
But yeah, potentially, yeah. But I think, yeah, I don't think it's like, you know, Canyon say put in 200 grand into that, and then but instead they take away 200 grand from Katusha, and that takes away a World Tour rider's spot. I think it's just another market they want to develop into, and I don't think it affects the budget they set aside for their professional team. I think in terms of the e-racing stuff, I think it's good. I'm not a massive fan of it. I ride turbo a lot and I use Zwift a bit, but it's never going to be able to compare to professional racing on the road. But I think it's just another avenue cycling's going down to, and I think it's good. You know, it brings a new crowd in. You know, if you look at the amount of people who ride Zwift and watch Zwift races online, you know, it's not for me. But if it's someone's cup of tea, then it's great. It's just bringing more people into cycling, making cycling more accessible.
Phil got gifted the full package.
I did, yeah.
Shout out to Zwift.
It's Joel's Swift.
I got the same as well. They're
I saw it in the kitchen.
They're very generous, to be fair.
Yeah.
And especially living in the UK, it makes a big difference. So, chapeau Swift, thanks for that one.
To be fair, I quite enjoy it, especially like people who are scared these days of riding on the roads because they had bad experience with
How long do you
car
spend on
drivers.
Zwift every week?
Not that much because I'm doing my track racing.
I want to know how many minutes a week do you spend on Zwift?
What he does is he puts his e-bike on Zwift, turns the motor on, so it looks like he's pumping out loads of watts. That's a quite a good way.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Charlie's been
Charlie's
been telling me to do it. He wanted to set it all up, but
you
I don't know
could
how it would work.
absolutely like Zwift dope on that, can you? You know, like put your weight in as like 49 kilos, chuck an e-bike on, you're destroying people, wouldn't you?
You would, yeah.
You could actually win a Zwift race.
Yeah, I think.
How long does the battery last?
Around 2 hours if you go on boost mode.
You'd be
more like
killing
that.
it.
Yeah, I'll
You
be
could
winning.
kill people in the warm-up
And
as
you
well.
could just wind up the trolls when they say,
To be
it's
fair,
fake, it's
it
fake.
only gives you 250 watts, so
Only?
it'd be tight.
Yeah, but if you put 49 kilos in and you do
Yeah, that's
150, if
I'll be flying.
you could do 150 watts on a turbo
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
an hour.
yeah,
So you're sat at 400 watts there, mate.
yeah. True.
Chuck the 49 kilos in, mate.
I'd be winning.
Watts per kilo, you're like just bopping around 12 watts a kilo or something
Yeah.
outrageous like that. Someone's probably going to comment and go, those maths are completely off, but this is all hypothetical, so...
We've got a good
Get
fan
a life.
base. They're not that nasty.
Yeah. So you've won the gold medal in Rio, and then straight away you had to go on the road. And I remember you telling me like a year later that you really struggled with motivation after winning Olympic gold and then focusing on your road career.
I wouldn't say motivation per se. I'd actually say I was depressed, because I think from a young age, and when I first started getting cycling, started getting good, you know, winning national titles and stuff, and you kind of start going down that avenue of thinking this is what I want to do as a career, you kind of set your bars high, you know. You're young, you don't really know any better. So it might have been a pipe dream at the time, but then it did actually come true of winning the games. And I think when you do that at a young age, and I think we can all testify, you know, I was 23 when I won, what you would have been 24?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you obviously won in London, what, you're 19?
19, yeah.
And I think we can all agree, you know, when you go, and especially for me, when you go on the road and you go from setting a world record, being an Olympic champ, being the best there's ever been in a way, you know, and that high is so high because it's something you've worked for so long. You've dreamt of what it would feel like, and even then it's better and bigger. And then all of a sudden for me, you know, obviously I love the road, and that was always my long-term career plan, switch to that. And then I go back into that racing environment, and I go from being, like I said, Olympic champ, world record holder, to literally bottom of the pile. And for a year, you're just getting your head kicked in, and you think it is demotivating. You know, I was still working hard, I was still training, but I think if you're not happy and you're not enjoying it, and it's hard to enjoy getting a batter in. Do you know what I mean? Like, you want to be the person at the front of those races involved in the races, you know, and for that first year, it almost felt like I was just literally like I was participating in the races. I wasn't in the races.
I remember when you went to Tour of Britain straight after Rio, and there was all the 2016 Olympic guys. You had like Mitchelton Scott guys from Aussie. There was you guys, and it was just
And
like it was
mate,
called the Rio, like
Yeah.
what's it called?
The Rio bus at the back,
Bus,
mate.
yeah.
And people were laughing at you, weren't they? Because
Oh,
you were so
mate.
fat.
Mate, so also another bit of background, like, so the year before at Tour Britain, I was 3rd overall, I was top 10 on every single stage, won the points jersey,
Lot of
best British
expectation,
rider, and that ultimately got my contract with Sky, so it was a race I was going back into with very good pedigree in. But obviously after focusing on the track for a year, you're a lot heavier, you're a lot more anaerobically focused, and obviously after the games you take a bit of a break and you go out in Rio, you enjoy yourself, and you come back and, you know, people are still, oh, do you want to go for dinner, catch up, drinks, going out, and then all of a sudden you got to ride the Tour of Britain, and 2-3 weeks later.
And it'll be the same with the media and stuff as well, because obviously the stock question is, oh, you did so well in Tour of Britain last year. You know,
Yeah,
we
for
expect
sure.
big things this year,
Yeah,
and also
yeah,
you're
yeah.
Olympic champion, so you must be flying, because they don't understand the differences between it.
Oh mate, I was such a mess at that Tour of Britain. Like, it was nice. I loved doing it because it was almost kind of like a bit of a homecoming. You
Yeah.
know, like obviously I was there with Brad as well, and obviously a lot of the attention was on him, so I was just happy like feeding off it, you know, being part of it. It was like, you know, it was an amazing experience. The amount of crowds, it was so cool. But in terms of the physical side of it, I was taking a kicking. It was like night and day compared to last year, and a lot of guys who'd done the race before, you know, from professional teams were there, and you know they were all saying, "Oh, what's happening? The difference? How have you got so fat in a year?" And it's not fat, but well, it was.
But what's the weight difference between what you
Yeah.
did then and what you are now?
What? So what?
Body
What's
weight.
your race weight?
Britain in 16.
Oh no, just like
Or
say the
Britain.
heaviest you've been as a trackie and the lightest you've been as a roadie.
So I think in Rio I was 78 kilos, and that wasn't, and a lot more of that is obviously muscle. And I think in terms of like, if you want to get proper into it, like in terms of skin folds, I wasn't far off, like really, really good skin folds in terms of lean mass and everything. But then it's crazy how quick you can turn muscle into fat if you're not doing anything. So I think I was a similar weight then at Tour of Britain. I didn't go up weight, but I lost all that muscle and it just turned to fat.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably Tour of Britain I was probably 78, 79 kilos. Whereas now I'm closer, probably 71 now.
It's a big drop, 7
Yeah.
kilos, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. And also there's being 78 kilos and having the power to back that up and be competitive at that weight. You know, there's a lot of guys who are heavy in the World Tour peloton but have got massive watts so they can do it. But when you only have the engine of a 70 kilo rider be a 78 kilos, you're going to struggle. And like you said, the old Rio bus at the back, I remember the first stage, went up a climb and 4 of us got dropped. And it was me, Brad, Alex Edmondson, and Michael Hepburn. So we'd all done the games as well. And those two were racing for Mitchelton Scott. Me and Brad were obviously at Wiggins. And I remember we did 80k time trial, the 4 of us trying to stay inside the time limit. Oh, it was grim.
Because I remember the Aussies, even though they finished second, they went hard after the games as well.
Yeah, I think like everyone should. I think everyone who goes to the Olympics, you know, that's the nice thing with the Olympics. You know, you do a World Champ, say, and there'll always be a night out after the Worlds, you know, or you know,
Not
maybe.
these days, honestly.
Oh no,
Yeah,
times are
it's changed
changing.
a bit, isn't it?
No, it's rubbish. And yeah, even you know, maybe like if you're a Phil, just team sprint. He's like a 4 nights out a world type. Well, used to be bloke by the sounds of it.
Used to be, yeah.
The one lap tourist.
Yeah, that was the
I
dream.
enjoyed my
was the
year
dream
leading up
ticket.
to Rio.
That was so annoying because we go somewhere like New Zealand, and like I had to race for the full 3 days of the weekend, whereas he'd literally do 1 lap and we'd shit out, and then he'd just go off and be a tourist, and he'd be like, "I've been to Hobbiton today. What have you seen?" And I'm like, "The hotel and the track." I got my head kicked in again.
Yeah, that's you were like living the good life there, but yeah. So I've completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, that was it. So even after the Worlds, you know, especially for us road guys, or if you're doing the TP focus, and at the time when I was doing all the Worlds and stuff like that, I still had in the back of my mind that I wanted to turn professional on the road. So it always meant that we'd do the Worlds together. We'd all have a night out in various different countries, which were always good fun, like Colombia or wherever. But then as soon as I got back to the UK, then it'd be switching to the road focus, and I'd usually go straight on a training camp and start preparing for like the under-23 Nations Cup, so like the kind of spring classic races for amateurs, Whereas at the Olympics, it's nice because for everyone, no one has anything afterwards. Unless you're probably a road pro racing the road race, you might be racing another professional race in a week's time, so you don't have that Olympic experience. But I'd say for 99% of the people who are at the games, regardless of sport, whatever, no one has anything after that. It's the pinnacle of what you're doing, and you can let loose, whether you win, lose, shit out, don't even race.
Because we went through the whole cycle, I guess, because at one point, going back to Colombia, the night out's got a bit out of hand, and then they got reined in a little bit. And I think since then, especially since Rio, like the whole kind of night out culture has really died out. Like you'll be struggling even to get people out after World Championships now.
See, I think that's shocking.
I think it's different people on the program now as well, because we've grown up in the academy, and we used to go to Weatherspoons for dinner. When you think back at it now, like what were we doing?
Beer and a burger, £5, absolute bargain.
To explain that, when you go down to British cycling and you move into the flats, they don't do it anymore. They have them in suburbia, which makes a lot more sense for getting professional riders. But when they first moved us down, all the flats within this bit of Manchester called Fallowfield, which is basically kind of student town. So when the students are in class, like that bit of town is absolutely buzzing, and there's people everywhere that are your age, and it's your first time living away from home, and there's temptation everywhere. There's Phil, there's Pandora's, there's Sainsbury's, there's Chicken King's. You love chicken. You used to go to Chicken King every night.
Codfather.
Oh yeah, it was like £3. You get chips in a burger.
This is a shout out to this episode is actually sponsored by Chicken King. Shout out to Chicken King. It is the juiciest. If you ever find yourself in Manchester, specifically in Fallowfield, go to Chicken King because this is the juiciest.
But only after a few beers.
But I remember times before when we were younger, you'd have a night out and you wouldn't be living in Fallowfield anymore. Like even when I was living, say, in Hanforth or Heaton Moor or whatever, you'd finish your night in town. And you'd get the driver to go to Fallowfield. You say, "Oh, mate, wait here. You keep the meter running. It's fine." Go in Chicken King, pit stop. Like you'd go out of your way to go to Chicken King. I think Kian's been there like sober before, specifically. Chicken
Phil
King.
used to go there sober.
I've done that before.
Yeah, another one. But they were good days, eh? I still remember. Your first move up to Manchester. You're 18. Everything's new, and it's almost in a way like your university. You move into the academy flats. Everyone has their own floor. In the academy, or not their own floor, but as in the floor I was living on was every single flat, and maybe there were 10 flats, say, or
and the bad thing there though was
we're all
it
BC riders.
It was always someone's off season. There was always someone there who'd finished the race and was looking to go out, and then you'd be sitting.
It wasn't always someone's off season. There was just always someone keen to go out.
Pretty much, yeah. and coincidentally, the ones that didn't go out.
Simon Yates used to wave him goodbye in the window in his bedroom.
He's doing extremely well.
Yeah,
but it shows there's a balance, though. It depends on the personality.
I think personally having it there is a really good thing, because my first year, you get drawn into your first time away from home. You go out a lot. You have that freedom, so you do abuse it a bit, but then when the racing comes around, the flip side of it is you take a kick in, and it makes you think. I want to, you can go one or two ways. You can think, I've got a pretty cushy little setup here. I'm on the academy, I ride for GB, get to do all these cool races, and I go out all the time. Or, on the flip side, you can go, that's nice, but I've experienced that. I want to come back next year, and I want to be in the front of the race and getting the results. And it forces you at a young age to choose what you're going to do. And yeah, you'll have some guys who will be pretty happy and they'll carry on going out for their 2-3 years. Or you'll have some guys who'll say, I've experienced that, but I want to be good next year, And I think for me, my first year, you get drawn into it. I went out a lot, not crazy amounts. I'm not talking like an alcoholic or anything stupid like that, but compared to if you're a professional cyclist or an amateur cyclist attempting to turn professional. And then the next year, you're like, well, I can't be doing that time of year because I want to be good for this race. So you kind of work back from that. And, by the time I was getting to my third year, you're not going out at all.
Have you never gone freakishly well off the back of a night out? I remember I once set a PB on the 2nd of January, and on the 1st of January I was a complete light off.
Yeah. Or I had a good gym session or something.
Or
like
amazing.
that.
I think it's carb loading. It's got to be.
There is something in it. I think, yeah.
Or maybe it's just good for the head. I don't know.
I think in track you can get away with it because there's such short efforts. But I think if you're doing a 5-hour road race, there's no hiding. You might feel great for 30 minutes, but then it's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah, probably. But you're kind of. I remember you saying at the start of this year you're going for like a period of abstinence.
Yep.
So, talk us through that. What was your motivation behind that?
So I did it before the games. I didn't drink for 3 months, and it was kind of one of those. I said to myself, I sat down, I said, right, when I get to the Olympics, I want to leave no stone unturned. I want to turn up there in the best possible shape, get everything out of myself. And if that's enough, if I come sixth, I come sixth. But I don't want to have any excuses in the back of my mind, like finish a race. And straight away, for me personally, when I finish a race and we don't win or we don't achieve what we wanted to do, straight away I'm thinking, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done this. And I just thought of all the possibilities of stuff which is going to affect my games. What can I change? And one of those things I thought, well, I don't need to drink. I'm aiming for the Olympics. It's an easy thing to cut out. So 3 months out from the games, I just completely cut it out. And then this year was a really important year for me, and I wasn't quite happy with how I was progressing through the World Tour racing side of things, and I wanted more. I wanted to be at the front of the races. And I just thought, well, it's just an easy thing to do. And I think it's not like drinking is a massive thing, but I think once you take that out, it kind of, everything falls into place. If you're saying, I'm not drinking, then if you go to the cafe and people are ordering cakes or whatever, and you're like, nah, you're okay. It just kind of filters down. It's a good way of doing it for me, I find personally.
Seemed to work for you, didn't it?
It's been good. Season. And, it's not like I'm going to be completely off alcohol now for the rest of my life or the rest of this year, but I'm quite a habitual person that once I get into something, those habits stick and the good ones tend to stick. So for me now, like I had a week off after the classics. I went out a couple of times.
Cheers for the invite.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Well, if you wanted to come to Cardiff.
Well, I didn't get the invite.
Yeah, true. Next time. Year's time, mate. We'll be down in Cardiff, living it up.
I thought we were going to the Rugby World Cup together.
We are, mate.
Oh, like, good.
We can talk about that later if you want.
Yeah, do you want to come, Phil?
Yeah, I've probably got the Olympics coming up.
Yeah, but it's Tokyo preparation.
No,
it's in Japan.
Don't worry.
When is
the Rugby World Cup in Japan and the Olympics in Japan, they're not on at the same time, mate. It's not like a joint venture.
When is it?
So it kicks off mid-September into the end of October. I'll hopefully be doing the Road World Champs in Yorkshire, which will be a very special thing. Yorkshire. Shocking Yorkshire accent. You sound like a pervert.
Phil, give us your best Yorkshire.
Yorkshire?
No, your best, not your worst.
That was the best I could do.
Yeah, you've got a second attempt. Here you go.
Yorkshire?
I can't do it.
That accent then reminded me of something, but I can't quite clock what it was.
He's got a good scouse, to be fair.
Am I doing his scouse accent?
Yeah, it's your turn, yeah.
Fucking hell, lads. What are you doing?
What do you mean, lad?
It sounds like calf.
No, calves. This is more scouse, lad.
It's quite similar.
You do one.
The Manx accent's pretty not that similar.
Fuchlich.
I love the way you're like, do a Scouse impression, and both you did literally 2 words, and both contained the word fuck.
Yeah.
That's a good thing with podcasts. You can swear and get away with it, I think.
That's true.
That's true.
So we'll move on to so I think you've obviously been quite like analytical about, if something's not working for you, you take it into account and you think, how can I do that better? So let's go the whole fact about you moving back from France to here. So I remember I came to visit you boys, and judging you'd been living in France for about 2 years at that point, we went for dinner. We went to go and visit the boys, and I thought, I put Doull first because he definitely speaks French. He was at the front of the line of the boys, and he went, table for 2.
No. To be fair, I was at the front.
Yeah, it was close enough.
Said, c'est possible une table pour 4.
No, you've brushed up since then.
No, genuinely.
You've done some preparation.
No. I reckon that's how the story went, and then he probably said something back to me. I went, parlez-vous anglais? Yeah, my French is shocking. I wouldn't even say basic. It's non-existent. And to be fair, it's going to sound like a right cop-out, but I was living in Nice in the south of France, and it's quite a touristy place. And when I first moved there, I was full of good intentions. I thought, this is a great opportunity. I'm 24, 23, I think, at the time, whatever. I thought, I'm going to live in the south of France. It's going to be amazing. The weather's going to be good. And I'm going to really embrace the culture and try and learn another language, because I do speak 2 languages fluently. I am bilingual. But I'd love to be able to speak French. I think it's a really cool thing to be able to do. And I made an attempt at the start, but the problem is everyone speaks English there, and everyone wants to practice their English. So you get 2-3 sentences deep into a conversation, and then they twig that you're not actually French or you don't speak French, and they probably think, it's just easier if I just switch to English. I can actually understand what this guy's saying. So there you go to English. So, and you only hang out with other cyclists or other people from the team, and everyone speaks English. So it's, if you were, say if I was to join a French team and I live in France, you're forced to learn French, and it makes a big difference. But I think when it's easy and you've got cop-outs and outs like that, it's hard to learn another language. And it's the same. So my brother and my sister both did a ski season, 5-6 months or whatever it is in France, both of them. And again, neither of them come back and learn any English because it's the environment they're in. They're doing VIP chalet hosting for predominantly probably British couples or families. So everyone speaks English there. Everyone they live with speaks English. All the people, the bars they go into, everyone's English. So you kind of, it's difficult to properly immerse yourself into it.
The Gilets jaunes speak English.
The Dibbo?
No. Like, remember when I came to like move you out of your house? It was just about Gilets jaunes time, and they were blockading everything from the airports.
Oh,
all that
of
kind
course,
of stuff.
yeah. Yeah, that's another good shout out from Callum. Man with a van and a plan. Or Callum Skinner.
I actually do the removals now. People
Yeah.
keep asking me, what have you done since retirement?
He
Removals. Professional removal company.
Manchester.
Well, I thought I'd get a van and just, help a friend out.
Mate, it was made my life very easy.
I mean, your Vespa's a little bit scuffed up, but, it's a first timer.
It's all right.
That was mainly
Adds-
Scott Davis' dad, to be fair.
Adds character to it, doesn't it?
It does. So, yeah, you made what point did it click that you were like, this isn't working for me, I need to move back to Manchester?
Yeah, again, I think, like you said before, I think I'm quite analytical and I like my processes, and I kind of look through everything which isn't working and look back to what was working before, because I think I was still at a decent level. My second year at Sky was good again, like an improvement, but again, I just wasn't where I wanted to be. And I thought I just wasn't enjoying living in France, and you kind of end up just missing your home comforts and being happy and comfortable. I think that's a big part of it. Not comfortable in the sense that you're not pushing yourself, but comfortable in the sense of being happy in your surroundings, your environment. And you just start to miss little things, like waking up in the morning, turning on BBC Breakfast, checking out what's going on in the UK, going to M&S and chatting with the checkout lady who's 75 years old. She's telling me about your grandkids or whatever, and it's just those little things. And yeah, so I made the decision to move back to the UK and specifically come back to Manchester. And it's somewhere I really enjoy training, and it's somewhere I associate with kind of hard work. I enjoy the roads up here. I've got great support. So it was kind of a bit of a no-brainer. It was it's kind of a scary one at the time where you go, okay, right, I'm going to commit to moving back, and you got to sort out removals and finding new places to live and stuff like that. But I think it's been great so far, and I'm so happy I made the decision.
I guess that's how it's changing a bit, because you listen to like David Miller speak, and he was saying, I had to learn French because there was only French teams or Italian teams or Spanish teams, but that seems to have changed a lot. But then also the location seems to have changed. Like you've got a whole bunch of like world tour riders in the Northwest, which probably hasn't been the case for forever. It's actually a decent little base here now.
No, it's really good. Obviously, I still get support from British Cycling, which is good, so I can use their facilities if I need to. My coach is based here. The team have offices here. And yeah, in terms of a training group, it's really good. Obviously, you have myself, Chris Lawless, Ian Stannard, who all ride for Sky, Alan Blythe, who rides for Owain Doull, and then even also the track endurance guys, like Ollie Words, Kian if he's on an easy day.
No, fair enough.
You said some of your successes actually from the British roads because it's so grippy and...
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're a GC rider and you're trying to win the Tour de France or hilly races, living in such a mountainous place like Nice, where you've got all these long 15, 20k climbs, yeah, it's perfect. I'm not trying to win those races. I'm trying to win races in Belgium, which go up short, sharp climbs, and they're hard roads, and the weather's shit. And Manchester's just the same, I think you're just always on the pedals here. You're working so much harder. And I think you've got to train for the demands of your event. There's no point training like a GC rider if you're trying to win one-day races, and vice versa. If I was a climber, I could not live here. I think you got to be smart about that. And yeah, there's like a lot of draws to living abroad. The weather's a lot better. You get more consistent training. But at the end of the day, if it turns up to race day and it's raining, you still have to race in it. And I feel the same about training. I don't enjoy riding in 2 degrees and rain, but I'll still do the training. It doesn't change anything. But then when I come home, it's my home rather than Nice,
Yeah.
It actually feels like home.
Is that a big deal though? Because you hear people often say, Froome doesn't like the cold, he doesn't like the wet. like don't expect a good day from him when it comes to that? Is that just because of acclimatization? Is that just the fact of like day in, day out, he's living in Monaco and he's got the good loads and stuff like that? Or do you think it's just a personal thing?
I don't know.
I guess for you it wouldn't make much of a difference.
Yeah, for me, I think one thing which has been good this year was actually the opening weekend. The weather was really bad there, in Omloop and Kerner, and it's what I train in, so it's producing the same numbers I'm doing in training when it's bad weather here. It's the same, I think maybe a more extreme example is like, say if you were living in Australia and you were riding in 40 degrees every day and you come to Belgium and it's 2 degrees, it's going to be a shock, isn't it? And it's not as extreme, say, going from Nice or Monaco, which is, 20 degrees or 15 to 2, but it's still a jump. And I think it does help. And I think, especially if you look at a lot of the guys who are up there in the classics, specifically the Belgian guys, they all live in Belgium. None of them in Monaco or anything, or Andorra or anything for tax reasons. They're all living...
Not for tax.
No,
not for tax.
they're all just living there and racing there because obviously I think Belgians just love Belgium anyway.
And they love the low tax.
But if you want to be... No, they pay tax in Belgium.
No, not in Belgium. I mean,
in the hotspots, yeah. But I think if you're going to be there and you want to be successful, you have to be on those roads and train on those roads. So it makes sense. It's not like I'm going to move to Belgium, but Manchester's a good compromise.
Yeah. So let's talk about the kind of less glamorous side of road cycling, especially being a Pro Tour rider. 'Cause I think everyone looks at it and thinks, I'd love that job. I get to go out and ride my bike every day, and it's easy. It's just like being on a road camp in Mallorca or something like that. People actually pay to go away on holiday and kind of imitate your life, I guess, or what they think they're doing to imitate it. But the thing that really woke me up to that was, back when we went for that meal and you ordered it in English, that was when I went to meet you boys up in a closed ski chalet, and it was you, John Dibben, and Chris Lawless. And I'd arrived, and it was almost like I was visiting some like Antarctic scientific station, and they were all just sitting there looking at me, going, "There's someone from the outside."
Yeah, genuinely.
finally,
probably first bit of
he's
life
here.
we'd seen in like 10 days or something like that.
But that isolation is probably something that people don't get. Like, you will be based in a ski chalet out of season for like months at a time at altitude, where there's only like 2 or 3 of you, maybe.
Yeah, and the ironic thing with that is I love skiing. I was fortunate from a young age that we'd always go on skiing holidays. So I skied from, when I was 12 to 18, say, and we do a skiing holiday every year, and I loved it. It's one of my favourite things to do in the world. And now, obviously, contractually and also responsibly, I can't ski anymore. Well, I can ski, but the risk of crashing and doing damage is just too high for my personal career. And if you're going to put all that work in and then you go ski in your off season or at the beginning of the year and you break something or whatever, you're fucked. So I can't ski anymore. So ironically, I spend a lot of time in ski resorts, but out of season. And it's one of the worst things ever, like especially where you come to visit me in Isola. It's a really, really long climb. It's like 17k back up to where we stay.
17.
17.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're just seeing like gondolas crossing across the road, and then you come out your apartment and it's just, you can see all the different runs leading back into Isola 2000. And it's just, it hurts. But yeah, no, it's not all glamorous. I think you have some really, really good days, and some days you're like, wow, I can't believe I actually get paid to do this for a job. But then on the flip side, you get a lot of days where you're like, fuck me, there's easier things I could be doing in my life. But once you finish those really hard days, you're actually super grateful for it. And it's once you've done it. But yeah, there's a lot more downs than ups.
Can you talk about like when you're on altitude training camp, what the week would look like? Can you talk about the training? Or
yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
It's a big secret.
Well, I don't know.
I can run you through the training I've done this week.
There's a lot of weighing out of porridge oats at altitude. That's all I saw.
Yeah.
It was the scales.
I think it would be quite interesting to hear like what diet.
Yeah, so like this week, for example, so I had a week off after Roubaix. I say a week off. I did some riding here and there. I think I did about 8 or 9 hours across a week, which isn't much. And then, so this week started, I did 5 hours low carb ride, just general riding. So that's basically, you kind of limit your calories the night before and the morning of. So typically I'd have like soup and maybe like 1 or 2 chicken breasts or 1 or 2 salmon fillets. Or if it's trying to get a bit exciting, I might have a steak.
Ooh. But again, that's something like the major differences is like you're on a Mallorca camp and you're trying to imitate your life.
Yeah.
People think it's all pizza and booze, and then you just go out and have a nice like 4 or 5 hour ride, come back, and it's the same again.
Yeah.
It's not that.
No.
So that would be dinner. Breakfast would then be 3 scrambled eggs,
Yeah.
a coffee, get on the bike. First 2.5 hours riding, but just sipping protein like an SAS whey protein. Then after 2.5 hours, you start putting fuel back in. So you start eating a bar or a gel or whatever every 30 minutes till the end of that 5 hour ride. So that was Monday. Tuesday, I did the same again, another 5 hours low carb. Wednesday was 4 hours with some efforts. So like medium fueling, some efforts towards the end to start opening stuff up. Rest day Thursday, which is predominantly spent in like a kind of a low carb state. Thursday, 5 hours with efforts, but the weather was really bad, so I went on the turbo for 5 hours, which was fun.
Zwift, shout out to Zwift.
Shout out to Zwift. Then the next day was 5 hours low carb again, so yeah, same routine in terms of fueling. And then now we're today, and today I had 4 hours with a gang of intervals, so I was full fuel for that. And then rest day tomorrow, pre-race day, and then we're into 4 days Tour de Yorkshire.
To the Yorkshire. It's a lot of low carb rides, isn't it?
Yeah, and that it's not always like that. Like before the classics, I'll probably do 1 or 2 a week instead of, I think I had 3 or 4 in there.
Is this just mainly to lose weight, or?
Part of it is trimming weight, but another part is also teaching your body to be more efficient, so that the longer you can train in that kind of state, you basically teach your body to burn fat before carbs. So then when you get to a race, your body's smarter about how it uses its fuel, because you can only consume so much in a race, so you can save more for the end or the crucial parts when you switch your systems. But yeah, the reason for a lot more low carb in this week is because I've obviously just had a week off after the classics. My weight will have gone up, so start to taper away on the weight, and then again I'm trying to drop a bit more weight now as we head into more kind of the GC hillier races rather than the punchy classics.
So let's just try and break down in layman's terms how it feels to go out on a low carb ride, because I think a lot of people would just like, for breakfast they're gonna have cornflakes or whatever. For the dinner the night before, there's probably going to be some carbs in there, but I don't think people totally understand how grim it can feel to go out empty from the night before and empty from the morning of, and then ride for 2.5 hours. Or have you just got used to it?
I think you get used to it. I think at the start of the season, when you start kicking back into stuff and you're doing your first rides after the off season, and you do a ride low carb, it can really kill you a bit. Like it's really hard work. But I think the more you do it and the more you get used to it, it becomes a more natural thing. I think that also comes from experience. Like if I'm out on a low carb ride, I know the maximum amount of power I can ride at. Like roughly the right zone. Because also if you're going over that, you're not in a low carb state anymore. So you're basically not getting any benefits from what you're trying to do. And it's okay. I think there's some guys who've been doing it for years and years and years, and some of the guys can do a low carb state ride for 6 hours, 7 hours. I never usually go past kind of 2.5, 3 hours. But it's crazy how efficient your body becomes at it. I can generally do them back to back, which is fine. But then when it's crazy, you can feel your body starting to go, and you're kind of starting to bonk a bit, starting to swing a bit, and then all it takes is you just kind of start putting that fuel back in, whether that's a bar, a gel, whatever, and your body's just switch again, and you kind of, within 5 minutes of thinking, oh, I'm in big trouble here, you're kind of back to normal. And yeah, it is a weird thing, and I think, I don't know what I was going to say there. I was completely lost, but
I just remembered one bit that I really wanted to pick up on, so I'm gonna mess with the schedule and just go on that. So you said like one of the nice bits about living in England is that you can go into M&S and you can have a little chat with the checkout girl. Have you ever heard about Phil and how he was going to get better at English and how he was going to meet a girl in Sainsbury's in Fallowfield once?
Ooh, I haven't heard this one before.
This was before the days of Tinder. Tinder hadn't come out just yet.
He was just on Grindr then, was he?
He was on Grindr only, exclusively.
With you as well.
So he was like, oh, I can't meet a girl. I can't meet a girl in Manchester. It's so hard. And then we were like, just speak to someone in the supermarket. He's like, Yeah, okay, I'll do that. So his grand plan, of which we were at the end of the aisles trying to watch if he'd do it, he'd see this nice girl like with a basket in the middle of the aisle and she'd be picking something out. And his plan, so his plan was to walk up there and go, "Hello, I am from Germany. Could you maybe tell me where the Pringles are?" And then it would just kick off from there.
It's not true.
It is
Mate,
because for weeks and weeks at a time, we go down to Sainsbury's, watch you like get awkwardly close to someone to the point where you're about to say something and then you say nothing and then back out, then leave.
I was scared.
To be fair, you both know the absolute legend, which is Michael Thompson.
I do. He's still on his travels, isn't he?
He's still on his travels. Mate, he's got girls' phone numbers from supermarkets before.
Has he?
Man, literally, he's one of those people who you could chuck him in any room, doesn't know anyone. He's perfect for travelling solo because he's literally the most personable person ever. And he's just got no fear of rejection. He'll just happily go up, start chatting to someone. "Oh, can I have your number?" "No." "Go away, you weirdo." Or "Yes." "Yeah, why not?"
You're
He's
winning.
absolute legend.
Yeah.
Absolute
Fair play.
legend.
So which part of that story did you think wasn't true, Phil?
Yeah.
That's how you met Claire, wasn't it? In Tesco, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't in
No,
Tesco. Somewhere quite different.
No, I was
We'll
there the
check
night Phil met Claire, actually. Claire's Phil's girlfriend.
Yeah, of 4 or 5 years now? 5?
6
6?
years nearly.
Are
Yeah.
How
you
could
going to
you
propose
forget?
soon?
Not yet.
When's the right time?
Whenever it feels right.
6 years is a long time.
It is, yeah.
So
He's a committed man.
he is a committed man.
Chapeau. Take my hat off to you.
Yeah,
you.
well done. Well done. Anyway, let's stop talking about relationships.
Yes.
And
Love wins.
love always wins. Let's move on to the next big race you've got coming up is the Tour de Yorkshire, which is obviously going to be a lot of fun. Usually see the roads packed up like 5 abreast full of people, really keen cycling fans. I think it's a great showcase for the UK. Although this year might be a little bit different. There's a few little controversies slipping around. Maybe some people are going to be wearing face masks of the owner of Ineos and making a bit of an environmental protest. And obviously that's quite big at the moment with London being shut down. Edinburgh got shut down for a little while. What's your thoughts of going into that race? Do you think it will? Do you think it's going to be hijacked, or do you think it will just go pretty smoothly?
I don't know. I'm not too educated on the whole thing. For me personally, I'm kind of, it's my next goal, it's my next race, so I kind of go through the process no different. It's not like this week in training I've been practicing my anti-protester training or anything like that, you know. It's just...
Because we want to see the highlight reel of, like, you know, the Eurosport when you get, like, a doctor running alongside Alberto Contador and he, like, punches him in the face or something like that. We haven't been practicing that this weekend, have we?
No, I haven't been practicing my egg dodging or anything like that. Yeah, I really don't know. I've seen it, you know, a few things online about 15,000 devil masks being ordered and stuff like that, you know, whatever. We're all there to do a job and race our bikes, and as long as there's an impact on the race, then it's fine, you know. If it's a peaceful protest, yeah, if you feel it's something important to you and you want to raise that concern, then it's your right, I guess. But as long as we can still do our jobs and do our races, I'm looking forward to it. It should be great. Like you said, the crowds are always amazing. I think last year, over the 4 days, there was something like 1 million people on the side of the road, which is absolutely crazy. It's one of the best races you can do all year, especially when the weather's really, really nice. And it's just, yeah, it's one of those races I love doing every single year.
What's your role for this race?
It's kind of, well, obviously we've got Froomey there, who will probably be our leader for the race. It's a slightly different race to last year. Last year we had a kind of wouldn't call it a summit finish, but an uphill finish up the Cow and Calf in Ilkley, I think it was. And that kind of set the tone for the race and kind of sorted out your rough GC. And then the last day, the kind of Yorkshire Terrier stage, as it's known, was the kind of big GC shake-up day. The summit finish isn't in it this year, so it will be more down to the last stage. And it's always hard to predict how that's going to play out. So I think I'll kind of have a bit of an open role for the race. I won't be the out-and-out protected rider, but I think the goal will be for me to go into that last stage. Hopefully, if there's an opportunity to try and pick up a few bonus seconds in the stages building up to that, to kind of give me a better chance for the race, but then to kind of have a free roll to see how far I can go into the race. And if it comes to a key situation where the race is unfolding in a certain way, we have an advantageous position and Froomey's there and he's feeling good, then obviously I'll work for Froomey. But otherwise, I guess, yeah, it's one of those races quite unpredictable, as it always is on British roads. So I'll have kind of an open role, and if I have good legs, I'll have the opportunity to race. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting into it. It's just such a cool event. The atmosphere is amazing, and the finish actually for the last stage is really cool as well in the centre of Leeds. So that should be sweet.
I think people often underestimate how much athletes can focus on the job in hand and not really get distracted by the noise on the outside. I guess a good example for us was when we lost Shane Sutton 100 days before the games. I don't really think it made that much of a difference within the team, and the press and the media make a huge deal about it. Probably a similar-ish kind of situation to the Tour de Yorkshire. There's going to be a lot of questions surrounding what about the protest, but ultimately you're there to do a job.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing with professional athletes, and I guess specifically cyclists, or not even specific cyclists, but professional athletes in general. Fundamentally, we're all very selfish people. You have to admit
especially
that,
Philip.
Because at the end of the day, it's your job. You're training towards something. You're so focused on your own performance, even if it's a team event, like in the team pursuit. Obviously, I want the other guys to be at a really high level, and you help each other and push each other, support each other. But ultimately, you want to make sure you're in the best possible shape. So you kind of, it's kind of like me. You're kind of making sacrifice for yourself. So you don't really focus on those external stuff unless it really, really affects you. And I think a lot of the time it doesn't. So you kind of, like you said, for example, with Shane leaving 100 days after the games, didn't change anything I did. I knew already from those 100 days exactly what I was going to be doing every single day up until that. And just because Shane wasn't there didn't mean I didn't do it or I didn't execute my plan, which I'd had for ages. So yeah, I agree. I think, and again, it comes around to like the hype media creative stuff, and yeah, you have to make stories. But ultimately, I don't think it affects too much, and I think it'll be the same for Tour de Yorkshire. As long as someone doesn't knock through me off or something when he's solo on the way to win the Tour de Yorkshire overall, then it's all fine. If there's a couple of people outside the bus at some of the starts booing, fair play, do what you need to do. But
throw an egg on Lawless.
Yeah, if someone threw an egg at Lawless, that would actually be quite funny.
It's actually going to happen now because
that would.
This. It's like when you always say, "Oh, can someone please bring me Welsh cakes?" And some nutter actually ends up bringing you Welsh cakes. Someone's going to throw an egg at Lawless. Even
if someone's not even protesting, they just want to throw an egg at Lawless. I think it would just be so funny. Why did you throw that egg? Just someone told me to do it on a podcast. Although that's the thing. So last year we had a bit of I started my own campaign. Gave Lawless the nickname of the Wigan Wagon Wheel. So there's actually quite a funny story behind that. So we're in Belgium and Lawless looks, when he's got a beard, Chris Lawless was talking about it, looks a lot older than he actually is. He's only 23, 24.
Is that it?
But when he's got a bit, yeah, exactly. He looks a lot older. He's weathered, isn't he?
He's had a hard life.
He's from the north. He's had a hard life. And it was his first year with the team. And I was joking with Savas Carnarvon at the DS on Sky for the Classics. I was always like kind of jibing that Lawless is actually 29.
Yeah.
And he was like laughing off, didn't believe it. And I was like, no, he is 29. So then one night, obviously Japan Belgium, bored as, went on Wikipedia, edited Lawless's Wikipedia page, and changed everything on there. So I changed his age to 29, but I did my research, I did it properly. So I also changed on Wikipedia, they'll list all the professional teams you've ridden for. So I changed all the teams, filled in all the years from when he should have been amateur to where he is now and stuff. So, he'd ridden for like Lambau Credit, Recycling, Motorpoint, all these British
quality teams. You must have been very bored.
Proper bored.
Cyclists have got a lot of spare time in their hands.
But I did my research, checked it all out, filled all this stuff in, and then it come to the last bit and it said, nicknames. And I was thinking, I've got to check my nickname. I couldn't think of much. So I just called him Wigan Wagon Wheel, which I thought was quite funny at the time. Anyway, so we're back in Belgium. And again, I'm a harping Savas saying, oh, no, he is 29, mate. Seriously, he is 29. He's like, come on, man, you're having me on. And I was like, no, look, type in Wikipedia, Chris Lawless, come up, 29. He was like, is he? And for a little bit, Savas actually thought Lawless was 29. But I went off on a tangent there. But basically, so then when we went to Yorkshire, and through the Classics, this whole Wigan Wagon Wheel thing stuck. So I got one of the digital guys at Sky to make get a wagon wheel with a photo of Lawless on, and to be fair, they went full ham with it. They sent me a load of photos. There's one with like Lawless's face as a wagon wheel. There was one of Lawless like riding like the horse on the wagon on the packet of the wagon wheel, all sorts. I went for the face one because it was the most funny, and I tweeted, Chris Lawless needs your help. The Wigan Wagon Wheel needs sustenance, blah, blah, blah. If you bring a wagon wheel to the start of a stage, Chris Lawless give you a present. Hadn't told Lawless anything about this. All of a sudden, we get day one, wagon wheels that just turn up at the bus. I haven't had a wagon wheel in since packed lunch days, And and we just getting overwhelmed with wagon wheels. And Lawless, every time, to be fair to him, went up the bus and he said, "Have you got my wagon wheels?" And he'd give him a cap or a bottle or whatever, and everyone was happy.
He's a good lad.
He's a good boy. He goes along with it. So, but for this year, I got a new one. So again, in Belgium, very bored. I'm quite a person. I give a lot of nicknames out to people.
I try to do that as well. Some of them stick, some of them don't.
Yeah. So the latest one for Lawless, which to be fair, by the end of the classics, everyone was actually calling it, and he was actually referring to himself as this name, was the Pigman.
The Pigman.
Pigman.
Okay.
I just called him Pigman on the off because I just thought it was a funny name, it's stuck. There's no reason behind him being called the Pigman, but it just kind of suits him.
Yeah.
So like even in a race. Like I think he was riding on the front, and Savas was like, "Okay, Chris, the gap's at 2.5 minutes. Keep it there." And he got on the radio and he went, "Yeah, no worries. The Pigman's got this." So for this year, I'm gonna speak to the digital guys and see if I can get a mock-up or something made. But the Pigman needs Percy Pigs, so that's the one.
That'd
So
be good,
Percy Pigs to the bus. You get yourself a reward,
They're
and the
delicious.
Pigman will come out and see.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I'm not fussy. I'll have the normal Percy Pigs, your originals.
Yeah.
They also do the little Percy Pigs.
They got
You know,
vegetarian ones these days.
Vegetarian one. Have you seen the little ones which are like part the pig ear, part like the face, so you can eat them separately if you don't
the
enjoy
tail as
both
well.
flavours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You get the pig tails as well, fizzy. You can get Percy Pigs fizzy. Any of those will do. But I'll start the campaign now. I need to hit the digital guys at the team actually. They've obviously got like a massive job at the moment with the team changing to Ineos. They're probably like
Entirely
absolutely
banned.
flooded. I think you'll have a request from me going, "Yeah, can you get a photo of either like Lawless's head on a pig, Lawless riding a pig,
Especially on launch day.
Lawless maybe on a Percy Pig packing, anything." And otherwise, I'll probably have to do it myself, and it will look an absolute bar-jam job, but
No,
it should be
fair
good.
enough. We never did any stuff like that. The only thing we ever got sent was, if you've watched the vlogs, there was like an inflatable thing flamingo called Wendy, and we lost her at Chris's house.
Yeah, I was there. I've ridden Wendy before.
You've ridden Wendy, yeah,
I've jumped on Wendy.
But
I think there was 4 or 5 of us on Wendy at one stage.
Well, Wendy's, she's a greedy flamingo.
R.I.P. Wendy.
She's still at Chris's house.
She's still there.
Oh, she's still there.
Yeah, but anyway.
She just moved on.
Well, I didn't want it in my house. I was like, we've lost it. But then at the track, someone sent. I've never blown it up, but someone has sent what I think is a blow up flamingo anonymously.
Some people, it's crazy. Some of the stuff you get sent.
Could be anything.
Hey,
If you want to send us something, go on, send us some stuff. What's the address again from the velodrome?
11 Stewart Street. Oh, I don't know the postcode. I should know it.
We'll get that.
I think it's actually
9DQ or something like that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's that.
Just go on the British Cycling website and then get the address and then address it to Philip Hines at British Cycling.
and you can do something, Callum, and I will take it and give it to them.
But always send it to Phil.
On a
He's in there very
It'd
often.
be funny if we get
on a bit of a
100
random
passes.
off note.
We love those.
What happens quite a lot actually with cycling and I guess sports in general. It's not so much in the UK, but specifically, I see quite a lot of German people, French people as well. You'll get like a letter delivered to you, and it would be like 10 photos of yourself, and it'd be like, "Can you sign these?
Yeah.
Here's a prepaid envelope. Send it back." Blah blah blah. Do you ever actually sign them and send it back?
I did at the beginning until I found quite a few of them on eBay.
You can
So,
you can buy a signed Callum Skinner photograph on eBay, and I
Yeah.
didn't put it there.
That's the
No.
danger, isn't it?
But the most embarrassing thing is when they'll write you a note, and
Use a
like
big letter.
yeah, but sometimes it's handwritten and they pretend to be a child, or maybe it is a child. I don't know, but I don't think there's many 9-year-olds out there that are really desperate for a Callum Skinner signed autograph.
No, I'm dubious as well. I still remember I was doing after the games. I did a rev in Manchester or Glasgow. I can't remember which one. And there was autograph collectors outside, and they had like loads of photos and everything. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, I'll sign these. And I kind of understand that those people who are there specifically, they obviously look like who's won the Olympics. You see, there's a big race on. They've advertised and they've got Olympic champions there. Very easy money to be made. So they turn up just before whatever. So I go over and there's a couple of guys. And first guy sign one. He's like, "Oh, can you do another one?" I was like, "I'll sign another one." He's like, "And another one, and another one." And he got to like 4. And I was like, "Mate, I'm not signing any more after this." And he was like, "Oh, why not?" And I was like, "Mate, you obviously put them on eBay. Like, I respect that's your job and your livelihood, and I'll sign a couple." He was getting proper pissy at me for not signing the 5th one. I was just
It's
like,
fine
"Mate,
if they like
do
ask
one."
for 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's what rattles me. You get it a lot in Belgium, but to be fair, out there they're actually properly cycling fans.
Have you ever done just like fob them off to someone else? So like if you're signing it and you go, and you're like, you can point at Phil and say whatever your name you want, and you can say, "Oh, that's Mark Cavendish." and then they go, oh my god.
Oh my god!
No,
Just all start running over.
Yeah, it's always a good little like litmus test, isn't it? You know, if you and to be fair, I'll come off the bus sometimes in Belgium or whatever, and someone will come over to me with like a rider card, and it's like a Leonardo Basso rider card. I'm like, I'm not Basso, son. Like, and they'll be like, no, and then they're like desperate, and you see it sometimes as well. They're desperately like, because they're all stood there, you know, maybe got 10, 15 outside the bus, and they've all got the same rider cards which the team give out, and like they're all kind of waiting, like kind of trying to get the right card ready. And someone might clock faster who that certain person is. You know, if G walks off, everyone knows it's G. But for me, it's probably less. Maybe 50% of them will know me by my face or whatever, and the other won't. So they're all panicking, and then they're all like, look, it's almost like a school test. They're all looking at each other's cards, thinking, who's got it? And then like someone will go over with it, and it'd be the wrong card. And I'll be like, I'm not signing that. I'm not that person. And then the next person will be like, oh, I think it might be this one. Oh, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that is me. I'll sign that. And then all of a sudden they're like reshuffling their packs, trying to find the right Owain Doull cards.
I tell you, I got confused for Cav at the Hong Kong Track World Cup once. I walked out with Jermaine, and there was like, it was literally like a looming
They
mob.
didn't confuse Jermaine with Cav, no?
they did not confuse Jermaine with Cav, but they thought I was. So like, but I didn't realise until I was halfway through signing it, because this kid gave me this blank iPhone and was like, sign the back of it, and I was like, really? You want me to sign the back of your blank iPhone? Like, it wasn't the case with anything. It was the actual hard shell, and then I was like, shit. Like, I know I got one. I was like, who do you think I am? Like, Cav, and I was like, oh fuck. And I was like,
No.
So I was just like, no, I won't sign your phone. No, I won't sign your phone. But like, it was like, honestly, it was like 6 or 7 deep, like roaming lounges. You went to the bus. It was insane. But
What's the strangest thing you've ever signed?
I don't know. You want to go first? I'll think of something.
Signed a lot of random stuff, I guess. You know, like anything from bikes to wheels to helmets to phones. Signed some arms before. Never done a boob or anything like that.
I've never had
You'd love
anything
to.
outrageous yet.
Nothing. Well, it's how outrageous can you go, really?
If you want to send something in outrageous to be signed by the three of us, you know the address.
What is it?
Philip Hines at British Cycling.
Sign a schnitzel.
So
Half it will come back for the other half.
we'll look to wind this up now. Like, so we've talked a lot about Tour de Yorkshire, different Grand Tours, one-day classics. Where do you think you're going to be settling down? Where's Owain Doull's niche within Team Sky?
Team Ineos.
Team
Ineos as of 1st of May. I think someone I really, really look up to is Luke Rowe and what he does year in, year out for the team. You know, he's always present in the classics, and those are the races which mean the most to him, and he races for himself there. But then as soon as they're done, he switched to that support role in the big Grand Tours. I think, you know, someone like Luke's probably the best in the business for the role he does. You know, if you look at Tour de France team sheet when Sky are building it and thinking, oh, which riders we're going to select, he's probably one of the first names on there, although he's not a climber. But the value he brings to the team in terms of his experience and the roles he can play is just massive, and that's someone I really look up to. And that's kind of a similar route and pathway I'd like to go down to, of, again, having that full focus for the classics and racing for those results there, the race I love the most, and then being able to switch across to a really key support role in the Grand Tours. So that's what I'd like to do progression-wise, moving forward.
We're not going to see a comeback for Tokyo track.
Not as it stands, but I've got an idea in my head. I'd like to go back for Tokyo, but it's whether it's feasible or not.
And what are those variants dependent on? Whether Team Ineos kind of give you the space to do that?
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail. There's a couple of people I need to speak to first.
Martin, it's not us.
It's not you guys, no. Unless you're on the selection panel or also work for the team.
I guess with the medicine now in the Olympics, that's probably what you're looking at, isn't it?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Detective Clouseau.
Oh, you're a really good player.
Although I might go for your spot in the team sprint.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
He doesn't know which spot he is at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll take anyone, 1, 2 or 3.
Are you looking?
One's probably the best. You can't get dropped from one, can you?
Exactly, yeah.
Are you looking to ride any Grand Tours this year?
Yeah, so like I said before, starting to kind of slim down a little bit more now and kind of focus on the hillier races and trying to support the guys better there. And yeah, my big kind of, I guess, what my second half of the year is built around now is trying to get into the Vuelta, which is going to be super hard, to be honest. With any Grand Tour team, Sky / if this comes out after 1st of May, Ineos send a team to. So yeah, I'm going to try and break into that team, and I think there's a lot in doing the Grand Tour. I think obviously the experience is one thing. It's one of the biggest races you can do, but also how physically it will change your body and make you that much stronger. And I'm getting on a bit now. I'm 25 and I haven't done one yet, so I need to try and get one under the belt. And this is as good a year as any. So that's kind of the big goal for the second half of the year. And the classics were the first, so that's done now. And we move on to trying to be skinnier and a goat.
Well, just as with Kyle, who featured on episode 2 of Podclash, we went to go and visit him and watched him Saturday, Sunday at the BMX. I'm sure we'll be there for the Velta as well. Wishing you all the best.
We were there. Yeah.
Phil will be there in Yorkshire with a devil mask on, throwing eggs at Lawless.
Just on Lawless.
Trying to claim some Ineos goodies, some Percy Pigs.
Percy Pigs.
Yeah, there's some more for the boys as well.
He'll give a half packet of Percy Pigs
Oh,
in.
I forgot that was your official title on Team Wiggins, was head of morale.
Head of morale, yeah.
Yeah, you were good for morale. You come to one of the staging tour Britain.
I did made a video.
Yeah, I crashed that day, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah, it's on the vlog, mate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Almost ruined my lovely Pinarello.
I watched him back the other day when
bike.
he had some great times.
Great times.
Videos, yeah.
R.I.P. Dibbo.
R.I.P. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get him on the podcast
He'll
pretty
be-
soon.
he'll
See
be-
what he's up to.
Mate,
Yeah, what's
he'll
happening
be
with Dibbo?
back better and stronger.
What's happening? He's training hard at the moment.
I'm gonna save that information for when you interview Big JD. Maybe you should do an international podcast. Fly out to Nice.
We're thinking of flying out to Switzerland to see Liam Phillips, Jess Varnish, Craig McLean, and whoever else will speak to us.
President of the UCI.
Big old podcast there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're gonna need some more microphones.
Well, I've met the president of the UCI. He seems like a lovely man. David Lampierre.
David Lapatillon.
Lampantillon.
Lapatillon.
Lapatillon. Mr. Lapatillon.
No, Lapatillon.
Lapatillon. Anyway, so we'll wind it up here. Thank you for coming on. And stay tuned for next week. The guests are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Steve Jobs next, isn't it?
Steve.
Bringing him back from the dead.
I was about to say yes, but no.
I almost got you there. Elon Musk, maybe.
Musk, we had that suggestion in the first episode.
Theresa May. She's a big...
rubbish.
Yeah, not much.
Who will be your dream guest?
Who's my dream guest? I don't know. Nelson Mandela seems like he's got a few good
Braveheart.
stories.
He's
on
going
the
for
go.
Braveheart.
Yes, William Wallace.
Mel Gibson,
I would like
get him
William
on.
Wallace, please.
Let's wrap it up.
Read us then.
Okay, cheers.
Bye.
Bye.